Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we are going to talk about a new Ohio Senate bill that is aimed to stop anti-gunners in this state from enacting BS gun controls at a city/municipality level, which is what state preemption is already supposed to do, but that's besides the point. We're also going to talk about why Vivek must be primaried in the next couple of weeks, and how Casey Putch's recent beer haul has basically divided people, and how it may have in fact been a troll to get him more noticeable in this race before the primary happened. So I do want to apologize for not being here about an hour ago. I was literally napping. I'm not even going to lie about it. I've not been sleeping very well lately, and yeah, I just had a bad night last night, and then eventually I ended up passing out this afternoon, and was literally asleep for the last few hours is what it is. So I'm still pretty tired now, actually, because I don't sleep very well, even in the chair here, mostly because my knee and everything else like that's what it is, but, that's what it is. It's, 20 plus years of hell having to deal with this shit anymore, so, but yeah, so basically I was watching, before we get into the bill about the gun control stuff, there's what it is. I'm going to talk about what we saw with the Putch Town Hall recently, which is, obviously, you had the beer hall thing. I had no fucking clue about any of this shit, honestly, because I'm not one of these people that follows Nazi Germany from 100 fucking years ago is what it is, dude. Like, I'm just not going to do that is what it is. Like, I don't give a shit about that, honestly, dude, because, again, it's not like we're looking at the fucking Fourth Reich or something like that. Here's what it is in 2026 or whatever the case be. In fact, if anything, I would say if anybody was like, the re-rise of Hitler or something like that, it'd be some fucking foreign national person like Vivek, honestly, at this point, honestly. Or like another Obama wannabe is what it is there. But the entire point of the matter is it's just a stupid fucking thing. And, like, of course, the left, and really what I think it was is that I think Casey was basically pulling the biggest troll is what it is, because if we pay attention to the dude's social media and stuff like that, he's been doing all kinds of troll shit this entire campaign run. And it seems like he likes to just troll what it is in general. And I think it was, personally, I believe it was probably a campaign strategy from somebody that was in his campaign or something like that. It's like, hey, like, how are we going to do this, whatever the case be, and, like, how bad is this going to be, option squads and stuff like that kind of thing is what it is. And then turned around and was like, hey, let's do this, whatever the case be. Because you got to think about it right now. You're against the establishment GOP at this point. You're against the campaign coffers of the Ohio GOP at this point. Not to mention whatever Vivek's already amassed in crazy campaign funding, which is like $25-35 million, something like that's what it is there. Besides, anything he could take from his own personal wealth of, billions of dollars at that point that he's embezzled over the decades, because he did the same exact, Vivek committed the exact same crimes that Martin Shkreli did back in the day, to go to prison for securities fraud crimes for the IPO stuff he did there at Big Pharma and things like that is what it is, because it was the same exact kind of scams is what it is. Which that alone should be putting Vivek in federal prison for decades now is what it is. But unfortunately, we live in a society where one dude can get away with it, the other guy goes to prison for years of his life. What it is there. So I'm not going to take a race base because I don't think that's what it is. But, like, I don't know, maybe it was just a better version of the scam that he did or something like that. He was able to get away with the whole thing is what it is there, even though it's directly the exact same thing that Shkreli did years ago is what it is there. But anywho, or it could be Vivek's ties to George Soros, or it could be Vivek's ties to Bilderberg, or it could be Vivek's ties to a bunch of other elite bullshit. What it is there, that's all globalism. Is what it is at the end of the day. Of these various other people that are protecting his ass, what it is, or something. Who the hell knows, dude? But I don't know. I do think Vivek is very much a Trojan horse at this point, honestly, dude. And I think really this was Casey's last-ditch effort, I guess is what I'd say, before the primary here in a couple weeks is what it is then, to be like, hey, like, is it a smart strategy to do this kind of town hall thing is what it is there. And the thing is, like, even he explained to the guy who was like some leftist dude outside that town hall is what it is. He was like, dude, my name is Putch, and it's literally a beer hall we're hosting this event. That's what it is there. So, who knows if that's the truth or not? Who knows if it was some fucking as the left loves to call it, a dog whistle to the fucking, neo-Nazis and all this other stuff. Then, of course, the retard right fell for it too as well as on that one. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I think really that's what it was. I think it was a strategy for him to get people talking about it, because from what I saw, there's a dude here in Ohio who has basically been an investigative journalist for like 20 plus years now or something like that. His name is Jack Windsor. He is more or less, I don't really want to say Nick Shirley at a state level, but he kind of is. Like, he's done a lot of investigative journalism here in Ohio and like exposed a lot of stuff is what it is there. But he was talking about the Putsch town halls, what it is there, and he was like, oh, you don't just call it that or whatever the case be. And it's like, or you do if you're trying to basically make waves, dude, is what it is. If you're actually trying to troll everybody, is what it is there. And yeah, it seems like the dipshit left and the retard right basically both fell for it, is what it is there. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. I know Casey was supposed to have his event down in Columbus here about an hour and a half ago. They were meeting at Goodell Park at, I think it was like 5 or 6 tonight, and they were going to leave like 6:30 to go to a different location because it was that La Chanteline place refused to do the stuff. And that's interesting because you look at Reddit this past week, specifically the Columbus subreddit, and they were basically taking responsibility. All these leftist dipshits from that were taking responsibility for basically calling up La Chanteline and like threatening them. And that's what got Casey's event actually canceled at their establishment there, is what it is. So, and it's just sad. It is sad, dude. You see it when you, like, there's a thing too. It's like, if you're going to host a political rally at your business or whatever, people like either do it or don't do it, like either do it for any candidate or just don't do it at all, is what it is then. Like there's no skin off people's noses, definitely what it is, bro. So yeah, it was just dumb for them to even like originally do that, is what it is. And then be like, oh, well, now that we found this bullshit out, like it's like, oh, and it's like, no, you're just dumb, dude. Like you're just fucking D, is what it is there. So speaking of which, I saw this on Reddit a couple hours ago, and I was perusing the site. Apparently, basketball has now met its undoing, because as of now, you have Toyota unveils basketball shooting robot with AI vision. So it looks like LeBron's days are numbered, and so is every other basketball player at this point at a nationwide level for pro sports. I don't know, would it be more interesting to watch a bunch of robots throw balls around, or would it be more interesting to watch a bunch of entitled crybaby minorities who are literally playing a fucking child's game do it at this point? I don't know. I'd almost rather watch the robots, personally. At least you're not going to flop like a motherfucker like LeBron does all the time. It's actually scary how far technology has come these days, too, for that matter. Wow, that's actually impressive, dude. I mean, and that's the thing, you're talking about like the basics right there for that. So you can think like, let's add like 10, 15 years to that technology. Like, dude, that's going to be humanoids at that point, honestly. So, yeah, very disturbing. And, I've talked about that before, about like a singularity and stuff like that. And that's what we need to get away from tech, is what it is right now. Because we are at that point right now where you basically have like that singularity event where it's humans here, machines at that level, and then machines go above us, is what it is then. So, I mean, God forbid you start introducing like some kind of like humanoid sex robot in the next 5 or 10 years. Like, yeah, humanity's just toast at that point, bro. So, but yeah, just crazy, crazy stuff. Then other things I want to talk about real quick before we get into the other topics of the day. Ex-Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Justin Fairfax, supposedly, according to what's being presented as the first narrative right now is what it is, killed his wife and then took his own life in a suspected murder-suicide in the past couple days. Here's what it is. So multiple reports indicate former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax and his wife were found dead in early hours of Thursday morning following a murder-suicide. I don't know if I believe that official narrative or not, dude. Just given the fact that Fairfax himself had a bunch of stuff coming out in like the last few years now is what it is, of just like not only voter fraud, things like that, but it's like other stuff he potentially could have been like a dude who would have like dropped dimes and turned state's evidence against other Democrats that were committing voter fraud and stuff like that more recently. And I could easily see it being something where it was not a murder-suicide if it actually was a double homicide that was masked as a murder-suicide. And it would have been done so because it would have been people like Abigail Spenbringer and all these other Democrats that cheated in 2025 there to steal the governorship and a bunch of state house seats and everything else like that, so they can now push their gun control agenda there in Virginia and then steal a bunch of electoral seats in the federal level for Congress and things like that is what it is there. So who knows? Who knows? I could be right, I could be wrong. Could be someplace in the middle of what it is there. But yeah, it's hard to say, man. Maybe they just as it sounds, just had murder suicide. Who the fuck knows? But I don't know. Either way, it's crazy shit, honestly. So sad situation all the way around. Either way. But yeah. Anyway, then I do want to talk about a couple other things here relating to gun stuff here in Ohio is what it is. So I don't believe this is the one I'm thinking it is. It might be one of the other ones, but we'll go and look at the other legislation that's been introduced here since the beginning of the month is what it is. Because obviously, for those that don't know, I talked about this, I believe it was last week. You had Columbus doing all kinds of fuckery with their bullshit back in 2022 where they're trying to ban magazine capacity and stuff like that at the city level. And then you had them recently, obviously since 2022 has been going through various court cases and various legislative circuit courts and stuff like that's what it is there. And now you have them going to the state Supreme Court here in the last like month or so is what it is, and trying to get like some bullshit injunction so they can enact unconstitutional gun control at the city level there is what it is. And basically, you might as well say at county level, Franklin County is what it is there, because that's most of it from Columbus and then a few other areas there besides that, like Canal Winchester and stuff like that's what it is there. But the entire point of the matter is that what they're doing is completely unconstitutional, and the fact that you had a bunch of rhinos on the state Supreme Court basically giving carte blanche to go do that crap is just absolutely ridiculous, and it's just making it so now you can't have American citizens be able to sue unless we have like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, what it is there. So, but anyway, you had this legislation introduced the other day by Timothy Schaefer, which was modify circumstances in which a person may transport a firearm in a motor vehicle. So I think this one has to do specifically with the way that our current law works when it comes to having a gun with you is what it is there, because you cannot have long guns in vehicles currently is what it is. I think that might be what the deal is what it is there, because it's a way to basically redo and modify the current law that's only about handguns or whatever in cars, to where you could basically carry a long gun in a car. Because currently right now, if I was to go move out of here and transport a bunch of long guns with me, every single one of those guns has to be in, it's so stupid the way it's written now. You have to have the gun itself in a case, have the magazines pulled out of the gun and put in a different part of potentially the same case or a different case for that matter, where they're all either zippered or latched somehow is what it is. So basically, if you have like a rifle case that you're carrying to a competition match or something like that's what it is there, if you just throw the rifle in the one part of the case and then throw a bunch of magazines into the like side pouches, what it is there, that can flip over and like basically it's not really locked into place, but it's more or less like buffer into place is what it is there. Like that's basically how it works now is what it is. And it's so stupid because you're basically forcing people to not be able to defend themselves with anything outside of a handgun then, because then you're basically forcing the hand where if they did get into a confrontation and it did become like a civil war type of situation or whatever the case be at some point in history, or like we saw in 2020 with BLM terrorism all everywhere is what it is there, dude. They can't just grab their AR pistol or PCC or something like that behind their seat that's already loaded up and ready to roll. They would have to take that gun out of a freaking entire case, rip a magazine out of the same case in a different spot in that case, and then spend X amount of time putting those things together and doing a whole, charging handle yank to be able to actually have a gun ready to go is what it is there. And that's going to take several minutes anyway. Or at least, I would say minimum at least a minute or two anyway. So, yeah, it's just stupid. And especially when you have, most other states being allowed to carry, at least with a mag already inserted, where all you have to do is grab the fucking gun and then just yank the charging handle, so it is then, which is how it should be anyway. So yeah, I think that's what that's relating to, is what it is there. But there's another piece of legislation that was supposed to be introduced recently in the state Senate to basically tell Columbus and all these other places to fuck off, and they're not going to be able to do this shit anymore, is what it is then. So we're going to go ahead and look through everything that was introduced here since the 7th and see if there's anything on the list that would be sounding like it could be that thing, is what it is then. So go over here to legiscan.com right now. So let's see, we got, most of these are all House bills there. Got regards to electric monitoring and long-term care facility, or I should say electronic monitoring. That's actually a good bill that's coming through our General Assembly right now, is what it is. For those who don't know, there's obviously in the last few years been a whole bunch of assaults at nursing homes and stuff like that. That's what it is there. Usually it's YNs being given the ability to go work at these places, and they're being the shit out of old white people, is what it is in most cases. That is basically what this legislation is there to stop, or at least show, hey, this is happening. We can fire this person and charge them criminally for assaulting these elderly individuals who are at this place, is what it is there. Then we got designating a highway. We got enact the American Dream Act, which apparently has something to do with Medicaid, is what it is there. We got exempt service animals from sales and use tax. I don't know why those are even part of that tax to begin with, honestly, is what it is. Let's see, you got regards, Medicaid, personal needs allowance for certain individuals, revise oil and natural gas severance tax, electric bill credits, create the next gen public safety pilot program. That sounds like some Democrat bullshit right here, is what it is. Let me go ahead and check this out. I guess that's Republican then. Let's see, next gen public safety to authorize local government fund reductions. Lucas County for the county of or city of Toledo fail to abide by certain terms of a grant under the program and make appropriation. I'm not sure what that's all about, but it's obviously not what we're talking about today, is what it is. Then we got regards AI generated products, AI systems acting as humans. And that was enacted the other day. We got eliminate e-checks if Ohio meets certain air quality standards. Require school radon testing. Create home radon tax credits. Then we got require rules on drinking water contaminants, water quality. I think it's to do with the data centers potentially dumping a bunch of shit into our water supply very soon, is what it is here. Then we also got designate the Loveland frog as the official state cryptid. Dude, why are we not designating Grassman at that point? Who's even behind that legislation? Apparently it was Tristan Rader and Gene Schmidt. Why the fuck are we doing? So what this tells me, though, right, knowing that Rader and Schmidt are both part of this tells me these motherfuckers know that there are cryptids in our state right now with this dude. So, yeah, that's highly suspicious to me. So that means you got at least 10 people now that believe not only are there cryptids in Ohio, but they're trying to designate the Loveland frog as one. Which, what is the Loveland frog anyway? Okay, let's look this shit up right now. Loveland frog, also known as the Loveland frogman or Loveland lizard, is a legendary humanoid frog described as standing roughly 4 feet tall, allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio. 1972, Loveland frog legend gained renewed attention when a Loveland police officer reported to a colleague that he had seen an animal consistent with description of the frogman After a reported sighting in 2016, the second officer called a news station to report that he had shot and killed the same creature some weeks after the 1972 incident and identified it as a large iguana that was missing its tail. Huh. Again, like, bro, the grass man exists. It's a Bigfoot hybrid is what it is, bro. Not to mention we got fucking dogman sightings in Cincinnati here in the last year is what it is. So why are we not doing Bigfoot or dogman is what it is, bro? It's just silly. Fucking ass people, man, I'll tell you what. Anyway, continuing on from that. Got insurance coverage stuff. Got limestone stuff. Car school building have exterior security master key box. That's interesting. Let's see. Regarding employment status of healthcare workers, certain laws increase time period to bring civil action for sex offense victim. That should be a guaranteed thing across the board anyway. Let's see. Allow registration of Humvee as a historical motor vehicle. That's interesting. Modify Attorney General's Charitable Gaming Law Authority under Pope Leo XIV. Let's see what else we got. Designate General Philip Sheridan Day. We got support the United States of Kindness Initiative. Designate General William Tecumseh Sherman Day. Let's see. Regards epilepsy stuff. Regards Board of Education members deployed on active duty. I don't understand why people are trying to designate Jimmy Carter Day, dude, when Jimmy Carter was literally one of the worst presidents in U.S. history, especially in the 20th century, when it comes to how much he fucked America for decades after his presidency, which was a 4-year lame duck piece of shit presidency, where because of him you had gas being crazy high, you had everything else being crazy high, and then, if it wasn't for that jackass creating the literal public indoctrination system we see nowadays, you wouldn't have the shit going on in schools nowadays as it is, dude. So, all of that being said, they're also trying to do Lyndon B. Johnson, who was again, a terrible person in general, so it is their dude. That was obviously Kennedy's vice president when he was assassinated, and then Johnson became president. And yeah, if it wasn't for LBJ, you wouldn't have all the racial shit going on in America what we do nowadays, as it is, dude. Because it was all the forced. Well, actually, I would say him and Kennedy, and then I think it might have been right before them too. There was also some stuff going on there, but it was mostly Kennedy's administration, and then Johnson's administration, and then I forget exactly who it was right after Johnson there, that basically did the forced integration of, you might as well say 1960s YNs in the schools as it is there. And yeah, because of that, you basically, instead of us being able to have racial transition the right way, where it was just natural, it was basically forced upon us. And because of that, it's been, 50 something years now of that shit. And now we're seeing the, end game conclusion of that stuff is what it is there, where it's basically just mass murder and just all kinds of crazy shit going on. I actually saw one recently where it was somebody talking about how the average black dude is 13 times more likely than the average white guy to kill somebody in their lifetime. That's just sad, dude. It really is, honestly. So it might be this Acid Act, but I'm not sure. Then they're also trying to designate Thomas Edison Day, got Woody Hayes Day, JFK Day. Let's see, instruction, permit, eligibility requirements. Let's see, regards designation of high quality youth programs. Neil Armstrong Day, Harry S. Truman Day, Benjamin Harrison Day. Who the fuck would give Jesse Jackson a day, dude? That guy's such a fuck. Bro, this dude is such a fucking race baiter. It ain't even funny. Whoever's behind that one needs to be fired on the spot, is what it is, for real. I think maybe it was 413, might have been the one I was thinking about. So, because it seems to be the only pro-gun one this day is what it is now. So we got FDR Day. Let's see what was here most recently in the last couple of days. Got NAC, the GROW Act. What is that one about? Is that about weed or not? To allow expedited sealing of certain criminal records. Interesting. Suspicious but interesting. Let's see. Create offense of obstructing federal immigration enforcement. So basically, pro-ICE legislation is what it is there. Jobs of high public records. Designate trooper highway. Adopt English as a state official language. But I don't know why the fuck it isn't already what it is there. It should be the state. It should be the language of America. Should be that, dude. So seems like Josh Williams is doing a lot of stuff right now. In his last little bit here in the state house, because he's running for Congress against Marcy Kaptur right now is what it is. So it'll be interesting to see if he wins that primary or not, though. Especially considering that Josh Williams is also the same guy that in the last month and a half, 2 months now, was trying to establish some hate speech bullshit on place because he was claiming that a bunch of people were calling him an N all the time, and it's like, oh yeah, well, who's actually calling you an N, bro? Is it a bunch of right-wing people, or is it a bunch of leftists that hate you and think you're a uncle? You know what is what it is. So, but anyway, let's see. Allow deployed elected official to retain the official's position. Why the fuck would that be the case, dude? Why? Again, of course, it's a Democrat bill. Bro, no. If you're gonna be overseas deployed, no, you're not a fucking state rep or state senator anymore, or even federal senator for that matter anymore. You're really active duty, bro. So, in fact, if you're on, I would say if you're a reservist at that point in the military, you shouldn't even be allowed to run for office if that be the case then, because you could be called up for something, is what it is. So, yeah, just fucking stupid, honestly. So I think maybe it was this 413 one is what it is. The transporting of firearms motor vehicles, what it is there, or whatever. So, let's see who's behind all these designations for different days, is what it is, though. It's William DeMora, looks like. So let's see, you got DeMora for FDR. Of course, it's having to verify for me. I don't know why you're doing it. I already fucking. Yeah, looks like it's all William DeMora legislation for all these different people then. Jesse Jackson, Benjamin Harrison, Truman, Neil Armstrong. See, some of these I agree with, but then there's others that I'm really? It also does kind of make me wonder, why isn't there already a Woody Hayes Day? For those not know who Woody Hayes is, Woody Hayes was a legendary football coach here in Ohio. He basically coached Ohio State for I think it was 40 years or something. That's what it is, or some shit. So, yeah, let's say it's all DeMora then. So, anyway, I don't know. Either way, my understanding is that basically, I don't know if it was 413 or not, there's what it is, but it basically has to do with the fact that you had Columbus and their fucking regal assembly, that's what it is there. And so that has basically turned around and done a whole thing as what it is now. So, anyway. But, yeah, I don't know. I know we are 17 days, actually I guess 18 days. Or wait, today's Friday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it'd be 4 days. 18 days right now from the actual primary day. So I hope they'll be able to get out next week is what it is then and go vote then on the 25th. Or not 25th, 24th. But anyway, I don't know. It looked, from everything I've seen on social media, it looks like there's a lot of people that are saying vote for Putsch. There's a handful of people that are saying vote Vivek, so it's hard to say who's actually going to win this race. I think you've got a lot, but I think the biggest problem is we really need to have money caps in politics, is what it is, dude, across the board. And I would say, honestly, for different positions, it needs to be different amounts, is what it is there. But the thing is, if you can't win a political race on like a few $100,000 or like even like $1 million for that matter, depending on the position you're running for, is what it is there, dude. Maybe you shouldn't be in that position, is what it is, because you're obviously not financial literate enough to, or not financially illiterate enough to actually be able to have a budget and stick within that budget, is what it is. And it's silly as fuck to have you in that position of power. That's what it is there. And if you're sitting there burning, you know, $5, $10, $15, $20 million or more on a governor's race or, you know, a Senate race or a U.S. congressional race or a presidency, whatever it is, there doesn't matter, honestly. Again, maybe you shouldn't be in those positions what it is there because you do not have the financial literacy to actually stick to a fucking budget, is what it is. And again, why would you, if you're going to have all that money donated to your campaign, and just sit there and be like, okay, fuck it, we don't need to have a budget because we can do whatever the fuck we want, is what it is here. And that's my biggest problem with people like Vivek, is what it is there, dude. When you have him burning cash on stupid shit that has nothing to do with the race at all, and it's just his personal, he's basically using the campaign funds as his personal fucking, you know, money to go burn, is what it is right now. Whether it be on jet fuel for his personal plane, or whether it be trips to Puerto Rico or anything else like that's what it is there, dude. Which again, when you look back into history, literally 4 years ago here in Ohio, that exact same kind of stuff, like not that particular kind of stuff, but like similar things, is what got Joe Blystone kicked out of the race and banned from running for anything for years now, is what it is. And he actually, I'm not mistaken, I believe Blystone had to do like 30 or 60 days in jail for that shit, dude, because he was basically embezzling campaign funds. And you can say the exact same thing about Vivek right now. He embezzled over $10K to go to Puerto Rico. He embezzled over $400K to fucking fill his goddamn planes, what it is, bro. And you can't sit there and tell me that you're fucking jet setting around the entire state of Ohio and just burning carbon emissions like crazy doing so, when you could just as easily get in a vehicle and drive around the state for a few hours, dude. You know, seriously, it's ridiculous. Like, when you look at how Ohio is positioned, it would be one thing if we were in Texas where it was like, okay, it's going to take like 18 hours to drive from here to here. Like, okay, jump on a plane then, or whatever the case be, and you're going to be there in like 2 hours or something, or some shit. But no, when you can go jump in a vehicle here in Ohio, driving through our highways, and be pretty much all across the state in a given position in like 3 to 3.5 hours maximum. Like, dude, just do that, you know? If you want to go visit a bunch of counties or whatever the case be, get in a fucking vehicle in the morning, drive down to a bunch of counties, like drive down a little part of the state for like 3.5 hours or whatever it's going to be there, and then hang out down there, and then drive another 45 minutes into another county or some shit, you know? And do strategic stops that way. And I could see like fuel expenses for like actual gasoline at that point. But no, not when you're spending, you know, $400 to $500K on fucking random jet fuel, what it is there, bro. So, if anything, I would say the maximum for any of that kind of stuff should be like a few $1,000s at most. Which I think there's supposed to be a money cap, if I'm not mistaken, on that one, where it would be like maybe like 50 or 100K or something like that for fuel expenses or something. So, anything else, that's Vivek just busting the shit what it is done. So, but anyway, like I said to begin with, I think pushing a weird strategy for the town halls, what it is there. Did it backfire? Maybe. Did it out a bunch of idiotic right-wing people, is what it is, and cost me at least one, you know, supposed friendship, what it is there? Yes, it did. And that's the one thing I do want to talk about real quick, and I've talked about this past week in a couple of different grandstands and stuff like that. So I got into it with a chick that I used to know. Her first name was Stephanie. I'm not going to mention her last name because I don't need to. But yeah, she basically was talking about Putch's town hall and like basically like, oh, this guy's a neo-Nazi because of this, and that, or whatever the case be. And I'm like, is he though? Or are you just making shit up here is what it is? And then it got into a whole thing where eventually it was, you know, me saying what I was saying. I'm like, you realize there's also other candidates in this race that are libertarians, right? Like, they could actually win if people actually back them with what it is there. And Ohio could have its first libertarian governor ever, I believe what it is. But yeah, it was the whole thing there, and I basically was like telling her about like, at this point, like, if you actually pay attention to the corruption going on in our state house for the last, 15, 20 years now, or more even for that matter, more like 30 years actually at least. At least that I've been able to go back and look into and stuff like that. And that was back before we had like term limits and things like that. But it is there. You had Democrat majorities back then as well, back in the 90s and stuff. But yeah, the whole point is like, if you abolish the entire state government right now and start fresh with a bunch of new people, we would be better off as a state right now. And it pisses me off because not only did she unfriend me, she then deleted that entire conversation like it never happened as what it is then. So it was very petty of her, honestly, in my opinion. And it just really hurt my feelings in general what it is there, dude, because, like I'm trying to have a civilized conversation with you, and you're basically putting words into my mouth and claiming I'm this thing or that thing when I'm not the thing at all is what it is there. So, but anyway, it is what it is, dude. Really, it's just time to be America first, America only is what it is, dude. And I've said that for over 2 years now is what it is. For those that pay attention to this channel, for those that pay attention to my chats in the past couple of years now, I've been saying that shit for at least the past like year and a half to 2 years now or so, or maybe more even for that matter. Because enough is enough of this shit, dude. It's time for Americans to worry about ourselves. Fuck the rest of the goddamn country. Or not the rest of the country. Fuck the rest of the goddamn world is what it is when it comes to this shit. And yeah, it's time for us to be for America, for Americans. Get rid of all these fucking third worlders, from the Haitians to the Somalis, et cetera, that are embezzling money from us, that are stealing from us, that are robbing us fucking blind. Because you have Democrats at the fucking wheel of these states that aren't doing a goddamn thing to stop it because they're fucking directly benefiting from us what it is there. It's either being put directly into their pockets or it's being put in their campaign coffers and stuff like that for later is what it is then. And it's like, yeah, it's time to start arresting people. It's really time for public execution at this point is what it is, dude, for real. For high treason. And until that happens, nothing's going to fucking change. I was watching that Andy guy, I forget what his last name was offhand, but he's the dude that's the motivational mindset guy is what it is there. And he was talking about how Trump could basically go down in history as like the greatest president ever, or he could just go down as like a lame duck jackass is what it is. And it seems like it's going closer to that second part is what it is there, which, again, if Trump really wanted to do something right now, I would say at this point, honestly, if you really wanted to get the old MAGA crowd and then the America First crowd on this side again is what it is, dude, there needs to be at least 1,000 arrests and executions by the end of the year right now of corrupt politicians, pedophiles, et cetera, is what it is, dude. So it needs to be a bunch of high treason arrests. It needs to be a bunch of pedophiles getting put at the fucking rope is what it is then, et cetera. And unless it happens by the end of this year, in the next 8 months, then, yeah, the midterms are done. The House is probably going to flip. You're most likely going to see Trump be a lame duck president for the next 2 years. I'll be lucky if we can get anything done at that point. And then going into 2028, who's to say if Vance stands a snowball chance in hell at that point, or if it's going to be somebody else taking over then, if that be the case, dude. So, it's just a sad situation all the way around. But I'm just kind of sick and tired of, and I think everybody else is here for that matter, I think we're all just sick and tired of politics taking over our entire daily lives because of all this stupid bullshit. And it didn't seem like it was like this before. Really, Obama is what it seemed like, is the one, like, because people always try to blame Trump for what it is, but I think it's before that. I think it's about Obama, honestly, was the one shoving his dick in everybody's faces every day is what it is there. And you had to worry about, obviously, if you were, pro Second Amendment or for the Bill of Rights is what it is, you had to worry about your gun rights almost every day under Obama's ass because he kept doing all unconstitutional shit. That's what it is there. And yeah, I think really the media itself is to blame a lot too, for that matter, specifically the mainstream media. But it's not even that, even for that matter, dude. It's just like, it seems like everything anymore like just goes down to like political shit, and it's just I'm kind of on the Andrew and Rachel Wilson train at this point when it comes to not everybody should have voting rights is what it is. And it should be restricted to a certain things what it is there. Like, actually, I think the best way to fix it would be maybe everybody that's like a net positive to any kind of system would be able to have voting rights, and everybody that's not would be stripped of what it is then for X amount of years unless they can prove like they are, for America. Obviously, that would fuck me is what it is then because, me being on disability and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, I know for a fact a lot of my family members have been net positives to the system throughout their entire lives for the jobs they've done, how much they put taxes and stuff like that towards things that is there. And like I've said in the past, when you look at, based on race and stuff like that, when it comes to welfare programs and stuff like that and different benefits programs, like who is the biggest net positive and who is the biggest net negatives. And it's literally the only people that really put anything in the system that they don't take out is white people, is what it is here in America. And then I think it's like I think it's a small percentage of Asians, if I'm not mistaken, that put in like higher amount that they take out of what it is then. And there's like a lot of other Asian people, which I'm not sure exactly how you break down the Asian sets there is what it is. I'm not sure if it would be like Chinese or Japanese or Korean or whatever the case be, are the ones that put more in or not and taken out. But I know there's like other people that would be like maybe like Filipinos or something like that. They're taking out more than they're putting in is what it is there. And then when you start breaking down by the races, it's like the two biggest net negatives are second to last would be Latinos that are taking a bunch more out than they're putting in. And the dead bottom is black people is what it is then, where they take out like, I think it's like 6 or 7 times what they put in is what it is or something like that's what it is. So, but yeah, I think most of us are sick and tired of what it is there, man. And it's interesting because when you actually start looking at political candidates that are trying to get in office right now, like your Casey Putsch types of it is there, the dude, before he even ran for anything right now, has literally just been for America and helping the kids out is what it is, bro. Like he's been doing car stuff to help teach kids about like cars and like repairing and like vehicles and things like that over the years and stuff. And as far as my understanding is, not only did he get an award from Trump, he also got an award from, I forget what other president it was, like whether it be Obama or somebody else for that matter, years and years ago. And it was basically about his continued efforts to help kids like learn things about mechanics and stuff like that's what it is there. So like he obviously gives a shit about, next generation of children is what it is there. And like teaching kids like how to be, self-sufficient and things like that is what it is there. So yeah, for anybody to sit there and call that dude a neo-Nazi is fucking ridiculous what it is there. And like I said, I really think it was just a troll for him to do some kind of weird political strategy and be like, hey, what's the best way to get my name out there, nationally, essentially is what it is there. And that was what he did, honestly, was the town hall is what it is there. So, and it makes sense because when you start to look at it from the past week or so now, since that town hall event happened, you now have a bunch of people, especially the like predominant voices here in both the left and the right, basically talking about this dude. And so it's like it kind of worked, honestly, in some ways. Now, granted, it could easily backfire and cost him the primary here on the 5th, and then completely fuck us over when it comes to the general election. Have it be 2 sack of shit Democrats in Vivek and Acton. It's very possible. Could it actually be something where you actually see a Democrat take down the governorship for the first time in like almost 20 years now or so? Potentially. I hope not, though, because I'll tell you right now, dude, I swear to God, either way, if it's Vivek or Acton getting in there, I'm 100% going to file, I don't want to say file charges, but it would be file like petitions and stuff like that to immediately see their asses impeached out of office the day they fucking take office what it is then. Because enough is enough of this shit. And it would, honestly, it might be a point where I would just be doing Article 162 against them is what it is then, specifically. And get enough people to just remove them from office what it is then. So, because truthfully, no matter what, I think if you take out those idiots, so it would be basically governor, lieutenant governor, if either one of those jackasses got into place, there's what it is. You have to take out both of those seats, and then it would be whoever the Speaker of the House is at that time would probably be a better governor for 4 years what it is then. So, or like I said, secondarily, it would be like basically plan 2A would be to literally just abolish the entire state government as what it is then, and we start fresh across the board, hold a brand new governor's race, hold a brand new governor's race that completely bans these motherfuckers from running as what it is then. You hold all kinds of other races, Secretary of State, AG, et cetera there. You would hold a bunch of new state house races, you'd hold a bunch of new state senate races, and we'd just be a better state overall as what it is then. So, anyway. But that's about it for tonight, though. I'll be back probably sometime tomorrow, depending. I'm going to try to get out tomorrow and do some stuff. I got to get my mail from this past week because it's all been down in my box right now. Because unfortunately, where I live in the apartment complex here, instead of them just putting the freaking mail, have a little mailbox in every single, apartment is what it is there. They just have a big old set of case boxes down, like about half a mile or so down that way. That's a pain in the ass for me to get with my bum leg. So usually when I'm out with my cousin, I'll get them, but unfortunately we couldn't go out today, so it was a whole thing. But yeah, I got some stuff in from Job and Family Services Week, which I'm not so sure it's not just the yearly thing of stuff or whatever the case be to tell me, hey, like you're still enrolled in this health plan or whatever the case be, or it's them telling me, hey, we're going to fuck you on your disability now because of X, Y, and Z or something like that. What it is there. So, because that being said, I had to get a re-up the other day, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, why am I being called for a reassessment when I've literally only been on this shit for like a year or so now is what it is. And then I looked into it, it said something about, I guess, usually with the SSI stuff, they'll do reassessments every like 1 to 7 years, I think is what it is. But it's also whenever things change, and I think maybe that's what it was, is because the amount that I was getting in EBT changed here a few months ago is what it was, and it finally just caught up with the system is what it is then. So hopefully they don't try to fuck me either way on that stuff, because I swear to God, dude, like I will fight them on all that shit, because not only do I need the full amounts of EBT, I also need the full amount of my obviously disability to even pay my damn rent at this point, honestly, and pay my utilities and stuff like that. So anyway, but let's see what we got here now. So population pays and federal comparison. Let's see. Percent pay 72%. Spanish 90%, 2%, 32% pays 6%, 6% pays 8%. Interesting. Yeah. So white people make up 59% of the population, pay 72%. Hispanics make up 19% and pay 10%. So that makes you wonder how many are illegals that be the case then are taking stuff. 13% of black population pays 6%. 6% of Asian pays 8%. That's actually crazy, dude. The Asians pay more than they pay a little bit more than they put in. They put a little bit more than they take, I should say. But yeah, when you got like that's just a crazy number though, dude. 13% and 6%. Like Jesus, dude. Like at least have a percent apiece for every person that makes up your thing. There's what it is there. Obviously per capita, when you go that perspective of things, though, it's like way more is what it is then, dude, for each one, for people taking out and putting is what it is then. So yeah, just craziness though is what it is, man. But I don't know. It's just a sad world we're living, honestly, dude. I'd say if it was up to me, we'd have America be like, again, like 90%ish white, give or take, and then it'd be like 1 to 2% of other different races across the board is what it is, make their 10% or something like that then. It could be 1% black, 1% Latino, maybe like 2% Asian, et cetera there. So it's like I was telling my brother years ago, and he's like, oh, it sounds pretty racist, bro. And it's like, does it, or does it just sound like safety and legitimate like tribalism? Which was when I visited my uncle up in Maine back in 2014 with my mom and a bunch of other aunts and uncles and stuff like that. I was like, hey, this is the first time I've ever felt really safe up here is what it is. And legitimately, with the exception of the people that own the motel that we were staying at, which was a Indian family, everybody else in that area was white, dude. Like, it was the whitest area I've ever been to, honestly. And it was fucking great, bro. Like, it was the one time I actually felt like I didn't need to carry anything. So, which should tell you, how I feel about everyday society is what it is now. I mean, hell, right now I gotta, like, even with the new chick that's living behind me now is what it is. I literally, because of that piece of shit Dawn that used to live here, I ended up buying a bar off Amazon to put on my door as like a door jamb, essentially, is what it is there. And I've still gotten used now to doing that. To just putting that up every single day and just like popping it behind the door is what it is when I'm not out and doing stuff. Just in case anybody ever tries some shit, here's what it is then. So, not that I don't trust her or the other people in this complex, because I trust all of them, obviously, at this point. I even trust the people in the first complex there because they're all cool too. The other people in this third complex, it's kind of a mishmash because I've kind of like I've sort of met them, but not really. Like I've seen them out and about, usually most of them anyway. And they all seem pretty decent, but like beyond that, though, there's like, 5 other housing units in this complex area here is what it is. Maybe even 6 actually, because it's either 8 or 9. I forget which one it is. But yeah, like I don't know any of these people like beyond like the third set. Here's what it is. I don't know who the fuck they are, if they're cool or not. What it is there. And then there's obviously some jackass around here that thinks apparently at 6 a.m. or at even 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning when he's getting off work, wherever it is there, that it's cool to come roaring through with his fucking beatbox system in his vehicle, rolling at like high volumes of what it is there, dude. And it's like, hey, jackass, people are trying to sleep, here's what it is. And I can only assume that's the YN at the end of the complex by the mailboxes there is what it is. So, although it might be some jackass fucking white kid behind him there, who knows, but either way, it's just disrespectful dipshits is what it is there. So, but yeah, it's basically good that I've gotten to this mindset now of just putting the bar in front of the door is what it is, because obviously after I move out of here in a couple of months, hopefully, and go someplace else this summer, as long as I can get a different place, I'll be doing the same exact thing at that place as what it is then. So it's basically just, situational awareness and, relative safety stuff is what it is there. And more or less, it's going back to when I had my mom's old place there, where we'd gotten to a point then where, having the house broken into, 5 years ago, there's what it is. Or actually, not quite 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago now. It would be 5 years ago this summer. I've been hyper vigilant security-wise since then, what it is then. And I'm still pretty sure people stole some stuff that one day my cousin put the stuff out in the garage there. And I really wish I had to catch these motherfuckers in the act then. I really wish I had my camera set up back then is what it is then, because I could have got the doorbell cam done up is what it is then and had it done. So, and if I had known that was going to happen, I would have totally done it, honestly. Or I would have stopped them at gunpoint, honestly, if that were the case then, but yeah, it's just a sad situation all around is what it is, man. Because I still have yet to this day to find a bunch of my coin collection what it is, and I'm pretty sure that's what they stole. They stole like a box that had that and some other shit is what it is then. And that is true. Whites are the world's minority right now. White people make up roughly, I think I've heard differing numbers. Like a year or so ago, I heard it was 7-8%. Now I'm hearing it's 6%. So I don't know if it's declined at least 1 or 2% in the last year or two or not. But anywhere from like 6 to 8% is what the world white population is right now, and declining, versus every other race where you have like, I think actually Asians, specifically Chinese in most cases, are the ones that are pretty predominant. You also have Indians that are making a huge stride. You have Arabics and Islamic followers that are making a huge fucking impact as well, for that matter, in every place it seems like anymore. So yeah, and then of course you have Latinos that are pretty high on the list as well too. Different kinds of black folks here and there. Usually Africans is what it is there, or a pretty huge majority too, for that matter. So yeah, it's gotten to a point right now, dude, where it really is time to just make America into an isolationist white nation, essentially, is what it is there. And save as many white people as we possibly can right now is what it is, dude. Because if we don't do that pretty soon, like, there's not going to be white people on Earth anymore in the coming decades. Like, it will be legitimately that, like, 2050, 2060 model, whatever people are talking about now, will be the truth. And there'll be a few mixed race whites, or they'll just be, like, various like mixed races of people that have like a little bit of white and a bunch of other stuff in them at that point then. But there'll be no more like pure white folks at that point that look like I do is what it is. So, and that's not cool, bro. Like, it's not okay. And especially when you look back into world history and it was like half a century ago, white people made up like 90% of the fucking world population at that point. It's like, what the hell happened in that century is what it is, dude. My only guess would be so many wars is what it is, because you think about it, look at how many white men specifically were put in World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, Korea, etc. there over the last century or so, maybe the last 125 years ago or so, give or take. That's what it is. And yeah, when you start looking at all that stuff there, it starts to paint a picture of what it is, man. Where it was basically global genocide of a bunch of bloodlines of white guys, is what it is then. So, anyway, I think a lot of it nowadays has to do with the fact that you have so many people that are just not willing to have kids anymore, is what it is there, because they either can't afford to have kids or they're so indoctrinated to basically not have children, yet meanwhile embrace all these fucking third world pieces of shit being brought into our country, is what it is then. So, I don't know, man. I honestly fear for the day that white people become a minority in our own country right now here in America, because if that be the case, dude, it's going to be fucking South Africa 2.0. Here's what it is. And people wonder why I cling so hard to gun rights in this country, is what it is right now, dude. It's because of that exact reason, because I'm not going to get fucking murked out by a bunch of minorities, what it is there, dude. I will fight to the death at that point if it comes to it. And take as many of those motherfuckers out with me that I can before they will potentially get to me, is what it is then. Just by sheer numbers. So, anyway. But I do want to reiterate one thing though before we leave today, which is it's fucking stupid that you have a bunch of people in the State House right now that are trying to make, of all things, the Loveland Frog cryptid as the state cryptid, when we literally have the Grassman, man. Like, come on. Like, make the Ohio Grassman the official cryptid of Ohio, because it's obviously a Bigfoot variant, people. It's been a known thing here for, like, over a century. Like, come on, man. Seriously. Like, give us the Grassman, bro. We demand the Grassman as the official cryptid. In fact, if that cryptid legislation does become, like, a thing down at the State House, I'm totally going down there. And I'm going to be like, and this is why the Grassman should be the official cryptid of Ohio. And then go on like a whole tirade about cryptids and stuff is what it is. Well, I'm wearing probably my 2A hat for that matter. Yeah, I'd probably just be wearing the 2A 1791 hat. So, or maybe I'd wear my autism hat, or it's the autism with a gun in my pocket thing, because obviously I'm not going to have a gun in my pocket at that time. So, if nothing else, I would actually get into a conversation with people about, like, that would actually be a good conversation starter, because it would be like, and this is why I should be able to have a gun in my pocket right now, because it's bullshit that y'all restrict me and everybody else here from being able to have our constitutional rights, keep and bear arms, when this is the most violent city in the state right now, is what it is, bro. So, yes. So I'm gonna look it up real quick before we leave today, is what it is, because we'll discuss the origins of the Ohio Grassman. Actually, let's go Google what it is here. As AI tells us, Ohio Grassman is a regional variant of Bigfoot, often described as a highly aggressive 7 to 10 foot tall, 300 to 1,000 pound hairy cryptid reported in Ohio since the 19th century, known for building large igloo-shaped nests of woven grass and branches. This creature is often associated with the Salt Fork State Park region. And then we got appearances. Reports describe the a muscular linebacker-shaped creature with long blackish-brown fur or blackish-brown hair covering its body. Some witnesses report luminous red or orange eyes, while others describe a human-like yet massive face. Behavior, unlike traditional Bigfoot reports, the grassman is frequently criticized as highly aggressive. They are reported to throw rocks, shake trees, and in some cases, often exaggerated accounts, attack carriages or destroy property. The quote nest, the grassman, was popularized in the mid-1990s by the Ohio Bigfoot Research and Study Group, specifically due to the discovery of these unique woven grass dens, according to them. Since over 300 sightings have been reported since 1970, with historical accounts dating back to the 1800s. Popular areas for sightings include the forest regions near Columbus and southern Ohio, as seen in those places. The grassman has been featured on television programs including Monster Quest and Mountain Monsters, which highlighted local reports and evidence such as footprints and thermal imagery. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff, dude, for real. But yeah, the whole point is like, and that's the thing too, like the igloo nests and stuff like that, dude, are I think there's actually another kind of Bigfoot in different places that has similar stuff in different like hollers and stuff like that down in like Tennessee is what it is there. Not to mention the fact that you've had those different meteors and like small asteroids and stuff like that hit Ohio in the past month or two is what it is now. And since that happened, you actually had, it was like the day after that or something, you had people reporting that there was like, it was anything from like 10 to 15 different Bigfoot sightings they saw, where they were basically fleeing from Ohio into like what looked like Pennsylvania area and stuff like that across the border. There's what it is. So, which I'm not so sure that wouldn't be a regional thing where they're just doing their like yearly move is what it is there or something, or what it would be there. Or maybe the asteroid caused some kind of a, I don't want to say it unleashed something from outer space into this area, like a, I don't know, like Venom symbiote kind of thing or whatever the case be. Once it did, though, honestly. But I wouldn't be surprised in the least, given that it seems like a lot of these creatures move underground and live underground is what it is there. And the cavern systems and stuff like that that connect all throughout America is what it is there. So I wouldn't be surprised when those asteroids hit, they actually caused like a ripple kind of effect and caused it to be such like noise, vibrations into the ground. It would almost be like an earthquake vibration to the cryptids is what it is there, and cause them to like freak out and just kind of run for what it is then to a different spot. So who knows? Obviously, I don't know enough about these things to make a definitive proof of that, obviously, but I'm just going to say like it is what it is. I think that's my personal opinion of is what it would be then. My personal theory on the whole thing is what it is there. Not to mention the fact that we do know that like all of these things, whether it be cryptid, dogman, etc., or yeah, all these cryptids like dogman, Bigfoot, etc., there, that they do actually regionally move and have like territories across America that it is there. And that's what the Nightmare Hunters podcast guys have been theorizing the past like 2 to 3 months now is what it is, where you have all these zones now like Delta and Echo and stuff like that is what it is there, where some of them, I want to say it's Echo, would be in between the lakes area down there in Tennessee and Kentucky and stuff like that. And that would be like the biggest aggressive one where it's multiple cryptids in the same place, where it's Dogman and Bigfoot that could potentially be coming together and having like wars down there and stuff like that. And who knows what else is potentially down there. And then of course you got, you know, other regions like in the Carolinas there where you got these cat cryptids, which I don't know what exactly want to call them at this point, like felinoids, I guess would be the best description of those things, where it's essentially like a feline human hybrid, essentially, which who's know if that's not a government done thing, if that be the case or not, or if it could just be naturally occurring, like feline creature, whatever the case be, that'd be a cryptid and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if any of that. I wouldn't be surprised either way, honestly, dude, at this point, if you have animal human hybrid chimera kind of things that our government's unleashing into different places. And I would not be surprised in the least you had naturally occurring creatures like your Bigfoot, like your Dogman, etc. there. That would just be like evolutionary things on the different rungs of the evolution chart that have never been, basically thrown into is what it is there. And it's basically just like, I don't really want to say like de-evolutions, but I would say more or less like previous evolutions of humanity, I guess is what I would say, where they just never came out of that stuff. Now, granted, the Dogman thing, which would be kind of similar to a werewolf, honestly, those might just be some kind of creature that was like, deal with the devil kind of shit or something like that just became like, was able to like breed and stuff like that, what it is then, and create more of its own is what it is there. So, because everything I've seen with like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or what I call them at this point, like those actually seem like they probably are like a precursor to like modern day humans is what it is there, to where whatever caused us to be able to like do that evolutionary jump and what we look like now is what it is. Like they did not get that jump is what it is there, and instead they're like basically a remnant of something, which makes sense too for that matter when you start looking into like the 7 to 10 foot height wise that they have going on, and then actually I've even heard like potentially like 12 feet for that matter in some cases. So it makes sense that they'd be like almost double the size of most human beings as what it is then. And then obviously you got, the several hundred pounds as what it is there, if not more, like, like a ton essentially. So like over 1,000 pounds depending on how big they are as what it is there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know. Because everything I've personally watched and looked into and stuff like that for all these creatures and stuff like that, dude, is it seems like Bigfoot, at least depending on where you're at, could potentially be reasoned with or even be, protector of certain humans as what it is there. Versus Dogman is definitely just an aggressive, like canid, like basically crazy, like Wolfman essentially is what you might as well call it, that just wants to kill people is what it is. And it seems like every time you see the Bigfoot and Dogman clashes, it's like Bigfoot is protecting a person potentially, and then the Dogman are trying to kill that person. So, and it would also, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised in the least the Dogman thing would also potentially maybe be a werewolf thing as well in some cases, because when you start looking into stuff like specifically how Hollywood loves to depict things, that series Teen Wolf back in the day, who's to say it's not something like that where it's people that where it would be like some kind of werewolf kind of thing or whatever the case be, and they're just biting people and like scratching people and then turning them into these things is what it is then. And so they just become kind of feral is what it is, or maybe they're stuck, maybe it's potentially a human that got like stuck in a state of like permanent werewolfism or something like that's what it is there. So who knows? But yeah, all I know is that like places like Combs Ferry, places like Drury Munsey, Land Between the Lakes is another one. A lot of other areas in like Missouri and the Ozarks and things like that are big cryptid hotspots for Dogman and stuff like that, sightings. And then of course, like I said, depending on where you're at in Land Between the Lakes there in Kentucky, Tennessee area, one side is 100% Dogman area for their territory. The other side is pretty much all Bigfoot territory. So it's like north-south stuff or whatever the case be. And I think the lakes themselves would like to divide essentially. So if you're on one side of the lake, you're in Bigfoot territory. If you're on the other side of the lake, you're in Dogman territory. So that is something I would like to go visit this summer if I can with some people, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Is what it is, though, dude. I really want to make that trip down there to check that shit out. Is what it is, because it'd be fucking cool. It would also be cool to just take a bunch of camera equipment with us. Obviously, we'd be armed as fuck at that point, just in case. Now, granted, we would all have the, it would be a situation where, yes, we'd be armed, heavily armed, but it would also be a written rule of anybody that's going to be in that expedition that you don't fire unless needed to is what it is then, dude. Like, it has to be like, hey, we're about to get attacked and stuff, and then and it's all bets are off is what it is kind of thing. But if we're not actively being attacked or whatever the case be on that expedition, that trip, what it is there, then no, we're not going to randomly open fire on these things because, God forbid, you see one open fire on it, and there could be a pack of like 10 or 12 that are fucking circling at that point and just take you out that way is what it is then. So, especially when it seems like that's the only reason a lot of people have lived to tell their stories and their tales and stuff like that is because they did not fire a firearm they had with them at the time is what it is. So, whereas the ones that did potentially fire, they're the ones that have never been seen again, and their guns have been found and like smashed to smithereens is what it seems like then. So, yeah, it was in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. They actually made a movie out of it too, if I'm not mistaken, then too, after the fact. It was like I think it was either 5 or 6 seasons. It was an MTV series. I need to go back and watch some of it because I think I only watched like the first season or 2 of it or something like that. What it is then, because it got kind of weird after that, and it became like I want to say like the first 2 seasons were about like werewolves and stuff, and then like after that it became like all kinds of other like crazy weird creature things, whatever the case be. Where it was like all kinds of basically cryptid stuff essentially, and then eventually it did get remade into a movie. I believe it was a few years ago. Because it was, trying to think, the guy that played Superman and Lois, Tyler, I can't remember the guy's last name is offhand. He was one of the werewolf dudes in the Teen Wolf MTV series, is what it was there. And then I can't remember if he reprised his role in the movie they based off of that series or not. But I know everybody else that was in the original series that was still alive and stuff, they came back and reprised their roles for that recently, is what it is there in the last few years now. So, like I said, it wasn't a bad show. It just, it just got weird pretty quick, is what it is there. But I almost guarantee, too, I think that was one of those shows because it was one of those week-to-week ones or whatever, where if you go back and watch it like a marathon format, it's probably way better, honestly. So, I need to go back and do that one of these days. I almost finished with Sons of Anarchy right now, is what it is. So maybe I'll finish up Sons of Anarchy here in the next couple of days is what it is, and then go to watching Teen Wolf from the beginning is what it is then. And just marathon the shit out of that, because it was only like, I don't think they were an hour episodes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they were an hour episode. So it would be like 45-minute episodes or something like that, what it is then. But it might have been like half-hour episodes even. I think it was more like an hour though, so it would probably be like 42 to 45 minutes what it is then per episode. So, and there's like 50 something I think over the seasons then. So, but yeah, it was pretty interesting though. I want to say it was either season 3 or season 4 of that show. Is where you had like the whole pack of alphas is what it is there. Like every single werewolf in that was all an alpha is what it is. Because it was like a super pack or whatever the case be. And they created the whole term like true alpha is what it is, where you got basically people just ascending that are like beta wolves and stuff. So pretty cool. But yeah, there was a lot of interesting lore in there. And comparing it to the Michael J. Fox Teen Wolf movies, it was completely night and day. Like the 80s Michael J. Fox movies, I guess technically it was only one Michael J. Fox movie, and then it was I think Jason Bateman took over the role or something like that, and the other one is what it was or something. I think I'll ever watch the first one though. I know they made 2 of them back in the 80s. That was what it was. Those were like campy ones. Those what it is there, where it was just like campy, like haha, dude's a fucking werewolf, whatever the case be. Versus the actual MTV Teen Wolf series that was later made into a movie as well. That was legitimately people turning into like actual wolves or actual werewolves and just doing like werewolf shit is what it is there. So, and like I said, it was a lot darker, a lot more gritty, just better in general is what it is then. So, it was not your daddy's Teen Wolf, I'll tell you that right now. So, but anyway, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day though, because I got to go make something to eat before quiet hours hits here in about 45 minutes or so. And also got to do some game stuff too, for that matter. So, I will see you guys in that next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. I may or may not be doing a stream tomorrow. Just all depends with the Slicey Boy episodes and stuff like that. If I'll do one this weekend, if I'll do multiple this weekend or not. I'm going to give my cousin a buzz here in a minute, see what he's up to, see if he has time tomorrow to go do some stuff. So it is, because I want to go out and get a couple things. I need to get some fresh fruit again in my system, because I'm out of that right now. So I want to go to the store and get some, pick up some fruit, pick up a fresh gallon of milk because the other one's been expired for like a week now is what it is. I'm not really drinking out of that anymore just because I don't know how good it is or not. And yeah, I'd rather get something that's like not expired right now is what it is then. And then pick up a couple other things too for that matter. See if they got the bacon on sale again or not. Because that was one thing that didn't get in my list last time there. So I'm going to pick up just a handful of stuff what it is then myself. And then pick up a couple of loaves of bread and stuff like that as well too for that matter. So maybe some buns too. I will say one thing, and I didn't get a chance to do this the other day. Those sausage patties that McDonald's does as their sausage biscuits. I recently picked up a pack from Walmart that was very similar to that as what it is there. And I will say one thing with those. So they tell you the two options for those on the back of the thing. It's either microwave on, I believe it is a paper towel for like a minute or two is what it is. Or it is throw it in like a pan on the stove top is what it is there. So basically just put it in like you're doing eggs or whatever then, if that be the case then. Except you're just frying it up in the frying pan is what it is essentially. And I was like, okay, well, let's try to do this let's try to do this in my air fryer for a few minutes is what it is. So I did that in the air fryer at 350 for 5 minutes the other day. And I don't know if it's because I didn't put a paper towel on under the damn things or what it was. It just seemed like there was so much more grease on them and stuff like that. But it also seemed like it was like a bunch of I don't know if it was because of the frozenness of it, where it just seemed like there was a bunch of water in there too for that matter. But I'll tell you what, I ate a few of those, and within probably 20 minutes or so, my stomach was bothering me like crazy. And I don't know if I just didn't cook them long enough or if it was just that there was so much grease and stuff in there or what it was. But yeah, it just came off not good. So if I ever do this again in the air fryer, it'll probably be 375 for at least 7 to 10 minutes, honestly, just to make sure that they're fully cooked through as what it is there. They weren't bad at 350 for 5 minutes what it is there, but like I said, it just after I ate them, I just felt ugh. It just bothered it bothered my stomach for at least probably a good 6 to 8 hours that day then, if not even longer than that. So yeah, just not a fun day at all, man. But it depends. If I can figure out a way to do them correctly in the air fryer, I might just do them that way is what it is. And then as long as they're not going to fuck me up in the future, whatever the case be, I would probably buy them again then. But as a first try the other day, I don't know if it was just not a good try or if it was just something else to be the case then. But either way, it's just yeah, no bueno for sure. So that being said, I'm not so sure how they'd be able to cook in a microwave for way less time than that if that be the case then. Because obviously, I don't think they'd even be done at that point then if that be the case though, dude. But it is what it is. So, but yeah, I definitely want to make something else right now here in a few minutes and go from there. Is what it is. I'm not so sure what I'll do tonight. I got a few options I could do right now. I think maybe I'll do the brats that I have in the fridge still, because I believe those are supposedly expired right now. Is what it is. So I'll do those up and then eat a few of those tonight. Is what it is then, and go from there. I think I'll probably just cook the whole pack, honestly, just in case. I don't think I'm going to eat all 5 of them, obviously, but I might, depending if I'm that hungry, because I don't really have much of anything else to munch on right now. So maybe I'll do 3 or something like that and see how I'm feeling. Maybe have the other 2 later on or something, whatever the case then. Maybe do the other 2 in the morning and just chop them up and put them in the frying pan, make some eggs or something like that. And then do some slices of them or whatever the case be, and then do a recook on them, whatever the case. And I've done that before, and they're really good like that, actually, because it's more like coins, honestly. So, and yeah, being cooked and then put in a cold fridge and overnight and then recooked again. They usually taste pretty good like that's what it is there, because you get a little bit of scald on the slices of what it is there from the frying pan. So, and that's the best way to do stuff, honestly, dude. It all just depends on what it is. So, anyway. But, yeah, until later, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, stay safe, stay original, all that good stuff. And, like I said in the past several streams have done now, and I will continue to say until we get to that point in time in history where people actually pay attention and look the fuck up with what it is then. Look for the 4th of July and be hyper vigilant as we get closer to that, because I guarantee you, if we do see an Islamic terrorist attack in this country where sleeper cells are activated in this nation, it'll most likely be on the 4th for the 250th anniversary of America as it is then. Because what better way for these cocksuckers to pull some modern day 9/11 than to do it on America's birthday is what it is. So, anyway. And it's time for really every sheriff station across America. It's time for every military installation across America, etc., to get off their fucking ass and take care of this problem before we're able to do that kind of stuff, dude, and stop it before it starts as it is. So, anyway, till later. I'll see you guys tomorrow, most likely for Slicey Boy Saturday. If not tomorrow, it'll be Sunday. But either way, we will do a Slicey Boy episode this weekend, and we will talk about either folders or fixed blades. I'm not sure which yet. It just all depends. We'll play it by ear. So, till later. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.